Today, 50% tariffs are officially in effect for Brazil. New levies are expected to increase prices on goods like coffee.
New tariffs imposed on coffee from Brazil have been announced by President Trump.
Brazil, because we actually run a trade surplus, Chris, with Brazil of about $7 billion as of last year.
They thought it was just coffee. But starting August 2025, every cup in America will taste the shock of a 50% tariff on Brazilian imports. And Brazil isn't even fighting back. I will not humiliate myself, declared Brazil's president, refusing to negotiate with Washington. So where will millions of pounds of Brazilian coffee go now? The trail points north, and a major shakeup in the global coffee trade may already be brewing. Behind those harmless morning mugs lies a story of winners, losers, and consumers who may soon be pushed aside in a market they once anchored. Let's break it down in today's video. Note: this video is an independent analysis based on public sources. It does not represent any organization or political stance. We encourage you to think critically and share your thoughts in the comments. On August 1st, the U.S. government slapped all imports from Brazil, including coffee, with an extra 50% tariff. For a country where coffee farming is limited to small patches in Hawaii and Southern California, and demand exceeds 24 million bags a year, imports are the lifeblood of the industry. Brazil alone supplies roughly 30% of all U.S. coffee imports, making it the backbone of countless blends sold by Dunkin, Tim Hortons, Starbucks, Maxwell House, and more. Brazilian Arabica beans are the quiet heroes of America's daily brew, consistent, affordable, and familiar, especially for middle-aged and older drinkers who've stayed loyal for decades. But tariffs change everything. With rising oil and transport costs, importing Brazilian coffee has jumped 25 to 35% in cost. Shelves now tell the story. A pound of ground coffee that was $6.90 to $7.10 is now averaging $8.13. And in states like California or New York, some brands have crossed $9. For families drinking 3 to 4 pounds a month, that's $36 to $60 more a year. Would you pay it just to keep your morning routine? Even if Americans say yes, Brazil may say no. The tariffs have shattered exporters' confidence in the U.S., wiping out their price advantage overnight. With over 8 million bags once flowing into American ports each year, experts now expect sharp drops in shipments, especially to bulk buyers who live on tight margins. Brazil's move? A pivot. Within days of the U.S. announcement, Beijing opened the gates to hundreds of new Brazilian coffee exporters. The EU, South Korea, and Japan are following suit. In Germany, one major supermarket has already inked a deal with a Brazilian cooperative that once served U.S. chains. But here's the twist. Brazil produces over 1/3 of the world's coffee. No single market can swallow that surplus instantly. And as the beans find new homes, America's once stable coffee supply chain may never be the same. It started with a single decision, and in an instant, the world's coffee lifeline was broken. When the new U.S. tariff hit, it was like snapping a crucial link in the global supply chain. One tangle in this delicate web, where every coffee bean passes through dozens of hands from Brazilian farms to North American cafes, was enough to throw everything off course. The problem isn't just the tariff itself. Shipping costs have jumped as companies scramble to source from farther places like Ethiopia, Vietnam, or Indonesia. But none of them match Brazil's massive, ready-to-ship supply, a country that provides nearly 1/3 of all U.S. coffee imports. Switching suppliers overnight? Almost impossible, especially for businesses built on low-cost, commercial-grade beans. Even if replacements are found, every contract from storage to roasting must be renegotiated. Each extra step adds cost. Each shipment adds risk. And every delay means prices climb higher. In the end, it all lands in one place, the consumer's wallet. Coffee prices in the U.S. are now averaging $8.13 a pound, more than $1 higher than at the start of the year. On paper, $1 sounds small. But for daily coffee drinkers, that's dozens of extra dollars each month. For families, the annual hit can reach $50 to $100, money that could have gone to medicine, gas, or a family dinner. Coffee, once a small daily joy, is becoming an expense worth rethinking. This 16% spike outpaces even milk, rice, or eggs. Will a single mother or working-class father still pay for that cup if it means cutting food from their child's plate? The impact goes beyond the kitchen table. For giants like Starbucks or Tim Hortons, the 50% tariff means higher ingredient costs. Starbucks could lose hundreds of millions in North American profit each year. But they have resources, negotiators, backup suppliers, and loyal customers. Small cafes? Not so lucky. Independent shops, especially in suburbs and small towns where locals stop in every morning, often rely on Brazilian beans for over half their blends. Brazil offers stability, fair pricing, and a mild flavor beloved by middle-aged customers. The tariff shatters that balance. One Nebraska cafe owner, who used the same 70% Brazilian, 30% Colombian blend for 12 years, saw her distributor raise prices by nearly 40% overnight. Switching to cheaper Asian beans changed the taste, and regulars stopped coming. Revenues fell, costs rose, and soon she was cutting hours and laying off staff. For many small cafes, the risk isn't a bad quarter, it's closing for good. These shops aren't just businesses. They're places where stories are told, where neighbors meet, where life slows down for a moment. And piece by piece, they're disappearing. Meanwhile, in all the noise about the U.S.-Brazil trade war, one country quietly stands apart, Canada. No tariffs. No political drama. No frantic negotiations. And, in that silence, Canada may have found an opening. From August 2025, with the U.S. slamming a 50% tariff on Brazilian coffee, many exporters shifted focus north. Canada, once just 4% of Brazil's coffee exports, is now a promising new partner. Stable policies, a strong coffee culture, and zero tariff risk make it an appealing long-term alternative. In 2024, Canada imported over 111,000 tons of Brazilian coffee, growing by about 7% a year, and that growth is only accelerating. The question now is whether the quiet north will become the new heart of Brazil's coffee trade, while America's favorite morning ritual grows bitter. They say a cup of coffee can change your mood, but what if it could change the world? Projections show Brazilian coffee imports to Canada could rise by nearly $67 million in the coming years, the third largest growth potential globally, behind only France and a few other European nations. It might sound like a minor supply chain statistic, but it hints at a shift in the balance of global trade. Walk into a small cafe in Ontario and it becomes real. Still tastes the same, an older customer tells me. Prices? Barely moved. Across the border, it's a different story. American coffee drinkers are feeling the squeeze. This stability, though rarely discussed, shapes habits. Canada's decision to let trade flow freely has shielded consumers from the sudden price hikes hitting the U.S. market. Domestic brands like Tim Hortons, Kicking Horse Coffee, and Ethical Bean now have a rare chance to hold prices steady, keep shelves stocked, and even expand market share while American competitors scramble. No formal deals have been announced between Brazil and Canada, but many analysts believe billion-dollar contracts are only a matter of time. For Brazilian exporters, Canada offers three irresistible advantages: no tariffs, no political interference, and a wealthy, stable consumer base. And Canada's coffee scene isn't small. The industry is worth almost $8 billion Canadian dollars annually, making coffee the nation's second most consumed drink after water, ahead of beer, soda, and tea. Nearly 72% of adults drink it daily, ranking Canada among the world's top coffee consumers. In this moment, Canada isn't just a buyer. It's becoming a safe anchor in a turbulent global coffee trade, not through dominance, but through calm, predictable policy. Meanwhile, in the U.S., the landscape is shifting fast. Washington's new 50% tariff on Brazilian coffee might just be the opening shot. Reports suggest similar measures could hit Vietnam, Colombia, Ethiopia, and Indonesia, nations that together supply 70% of the world's coffee. These aren't just bean producers. They are the flavors Americans have known for decades: the smooth Colombian Arabica, the bold Vietnamese Robusta, the fragrant Ethiopian brew. Each carries history, culture, and comfort, now at risk, not because taste changed, but because of politics. The impact is already visible. Since June 2025, Arabica futures in New York have surged 35%, Robusta a staggering 56%. This isn't just a price spike. It's a shock to the entire supply chain, from farm to cafe. For decades, the U.S. led the coffee world, setting standards, shaping trade, and influencing taste. Starbucks, Peet's, Green Mountain, all American icons connecting the tropics to the suburbs. But now, suppliers are quietly looking elsewhere, to Canada, Europe, Asia, markets offering stability over uncertainty. Maybe your coffee still tastes the same. Maybe it doesn't. But here's the truth. In a world where a distant policy can change your daily ritual overnight, the next sip might not be yours to choose. So tell me, does your morning cup still taste like it used to? Or have you already taken the first sip of change without even knowing it? This was just the beginning. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up. Digital Garage has so much more in store.